My name is Michael Torres. I'm 63 years old, and 3 weeks ago, I did something my son William will never forgive me for. I sold our family mansion, the one his mother and I built 30 years ago, for $8.5 million cash. 14-day close. No warning. No discussion. You're probably thinking I'm cruel, vindictive, maybe even losing my mind. But here's what you don't know yet. 2 months before I signed those papers, I came home early from a doctor's appointment. The house was supposed to be empty, but I heard voices coming from my study, my son's voice. And what he said through that half-open door changed everything I thought I knew about my family. See, William thought I was too old, too lonely, too grief-stricken to notice what he was planning. He thought my silence meant permission. He thought I'd just disappear quietly when the time came. He was wrong. This is the story of how I overheard my own son plotting to erase me. How his wife, Leslie, had been planning it for over a year. How they'd already picked out the nursing home, already designed the renovations, already decided my future without me, and how I made sure they'd never see it coming. But before I tell you what I heard through that door, the words that shattered everything, I need you to do something for me. Because what happens next will make you question everything you think you know about family, loyalty, and revenge. Hit that subscribe button. Right now, smash the bell so you don't miss a single chapter like this video if you've ever felt invisible in your own life. And comment one word, listening. If you want to hear exactly what William said through that door. Because trust me, once you know what I know, you'll understand why I had no choice, why the mansion had to go, why sometimes love isn't enough to stop you from protecting yourself. I'm not a vengeful man by nature. 38 years in commercial real estate taught me patience, strategy, how to read a room and know when someone's bluffing, how to smile through negotiations while calculating my next 3 moves, but nothing prepares you for the moment you realize your own child has been calculating against you. It was a Tuesday, October 17th. I remember because Sarah had died exactly 2 years and 1 month before, and I'd started marking time in relation to her absence. Pathetic, maybe, but grief makes accountants of us all. I'd gone to Dr. Patel for my annual physical. Blood pressure, cholesterol, the humiliating prostate exam that reminds you your body is slowly betraying you. Everything came back normal. "You're in remarkable shape for 63, she'd said, like it was supposed to be comforting. I left early, drove home through afternoon traffic, and pulled into the circular driveway of the house Sarah and I had designed in 1995. 18 rooms, bay views, a study with built-in bookshelves where Sarah used to curl up with her mystery novels. William's Tesla was parked near the fountain. My son had a key. Of course he did. This was his childhood home, but it was 2:30 on a Tuesday, and William worked in tech consulting downtown. He shouldn't have been here. I unlocked the front door quietly. Not sneaking, exactly. Just careful. Voices drifted from the study. Male and female. William and Leslie, his wife of 4 years. The door was open, maybe 3 inches. I should have announced myself. Should have called out, "Hey, didn't expect you to," in that cheerful dad voice I'd perfected over 30 years of parenting. Instead, I stopped. Something in William's tone made me stop. "Barely uses half the rooms anymore," he was saying. "Since Mom died, he just camps out in the master bedroom and the kitchen. The whole west wing might as well not exist. So we just—" "What? Ask him?" Leslie's voice, practical and slightly impatient. She always sounded like she was 3 steps ahead of every conversation. "We don't ask. We tell him it makes sense. Frame it as helping my in-laws, doing a good deed. He's too polite to say no, especially if we make it sound temporary." "And if he does say no?" A pause. My heart was hammering so hard I thought they'd hear it through the wall. "Then we go to Plan B," William said quietly. "The competency evaluation. Dr. Harrison already said Dad shows signs of depression and social withdrawal. That's enough for a formal assessment if we push it. The floor tilted under my feet. Your father isn't incompetent, William. At least Leslie sounded uncomfortable with that part. No, but he's lonely, and lonely old men make mistakes. Forget things. We document it, build a case, and then we're not taking the house. We're protecting him. By moving him into assisted living. By making sure he's safe, and by making sure this house, which is worth almost $9 million, doesn't just sit here rotting while he talks to Mom's ghost in every room. Something inside me cracked. Not broke. Cracked. Like ice on a lake that looks solid until you step on it. This wasn't a random conversation. This was a plan. A strategy they'd discussed before. Refined. Prepared contingencies for. When do your parents need to move? William asked. End of November. The foreclosure is final December 1st. Wait, foreclosure? I thought they were just downsizing. William. Leslie's voice went sharp. Does it matter? They need somewhere to live. We have a massive house with empty rooms, and your father is barely functional. Everyone wins. Except Dad. Your father, Leslie said slowly, has been barely alive for 2 years. We're not hurting him. We're giving him a purpose, giving him family around him. He should be grateful. I backed away from the door, moved down the hallway with legs that felt disconnected from my body, made it to the kitchen, stood at the sink, staring at my reflection in the window. The man looking back at me was old, gray hair, lines around the eyes, widow, burden, barely functional. I drove to a coffee shop 3 blocks away and sat in my car for 2 hours, watching people come and go with their lattes and their laptops and their normal, unshattered lives. And I made a decision. If William wanted the house so badly, he could watch me take it away. Every single room. For 3 days, I was an actor in my own life. I made breakfast, read the newspaper, watched documentaries about penguins and deep-sea creatures, anything to fill the silence that had swallowed my house whole since Sarah died. William called twice. Just checking on you, Dad. Each time I kept my voice steady, warm, perfectly normal. I'm fine, son. How's work? Busy. Hey, Leslie and I were thinking about coming by this weekend. Maybe bringing dinner? That sounds nice. The lies tasted like copper, but the moment William's Tesla pulled out of the driveway on Thursday afternoon, he'd stopped by to grab some old files from his childhood bedroom, I became someone else, someone methodical, cold, surgical. I started with his room. William had left boxes in his closet when he moved in with Leslie 4 years ago. Just store them for me, Dad. I'll go through them eventually. Eventually never came. I pulled down every box, opened every file folder, looked through every drawer. In the 3rd box under college textbooks and old baseball trophies, I found his laptop, the one he'd used in grad school, the one he'd asked me to hang on to because he'd upgraded. It powered on. No password. Why would there be? He trusted me. His harmless, lonely, barely functional father. The desktop had folders labeled Taxes 2019-2021, Business Plans, Personal, and one labeled Estate Planning. My hands were shaking as I clicked it open. Inside, 16 documents, PDF scans, email screenshots, an Excel spreadsheet that made my vision blur. The spreadsheet was titled House Transition Timeline. Columns, date, action item, responsible party, status. October 2024. Initial conversation with Dad, casual. Responsible, William. Status, complete. November 2024. Move in-laws to West Wing. Responsible, Leslie. Status, in progress. December 2024. Begin documentation of Dad's decline. Responsible, both. Status, pending. January 2025. Consult with Dr. Harrison, competency evaluation. Responsible, William. Status, scheduled. February 2025. File for conservatorship if necessary. Responsible, William. Status, contingency. I had to close the laptop, stand up, breathe. They'd been planning this for over a year. Every conversation, every concerned phone call asking if I was eating enough, sleeping enough, remembering enough. Data points, evidence for their case. But I kept digging. Email from Leslie to someone named Patricia. Her mother, I assumed. William's on board. The old man barely knows what day it is since Sarah died. Honestly, it's sad. We're doing him a favor by taking this off his hands. By next summer, you'll have the whole West Wing, and Michael will be somewhere he can get proper care. Proper care. Like I was a houseplant that needed better lighting. Another email, this one from William to Leslie, dated 6 weeks ago. Feeling guilty about this. Dad seemed sharp today. Made a joke about the election. Remembered my meeting with the Peterson account. Maybe we're rushing this? Leslie's response came 3 minutes later. William, your father is alone in a $9 million house. He hasn't dated, hasn't traveled, barely leaves except for doctor appointments. That's not sharp. That's depressed. We're not stealing from him. We're helping him transition to the next phase of his life. Stop second-guessing. William's reply. You're right. Thanks for keeping me focused. I printed everything. 37 pages of emails, texts, spreadsheets, and scanned documents. I saved it all to a thumb drive, uploaded backups to 3 different cloud services. Then I called Victor Chen, my lawyer. Victor and I went back 40 years, college roommates, best man at each other's weddings, the friend who held me together at Sarah's funeral. Victor, I said when he answered, I need to sell the house, fast, quietly, and I need to make absolutely certain that nobody, especially not family, can claim any legal stake in it. Silence on the other end. Michael, he said carefully, what's happening? My son is planning to have me declared incompetent so he can take my house and move his broke in-laws into it, and I have documentation proving he's been planning it for 14 months. More silence. How fast? 30 days, maybe less. That's aggressive for a property that size. I know a developer who's been trying to buy it for years. Cash buyer, no contingencies. Michael, Victor's voice went soft. If you do this in anger— I'm not angry, I interrupted. And it was true. I wasn't angry, I was clear. I'm just finally seeing things as they are. Will you help me? Yes, he said. But Michael, there's no coming back from this. I know, I said, and I did. The hardest part wasn't selling the house. It was sitting across from William at Sunday dinner 3 days later, passing him the mashed potatoes, and pretending I didn't know he'd scheduled a consultation with Dr. Harrison for January 12th to discuss my supposed cognitive decline. These are great, Dad, William said, loading his plate. You remember Mom's recipe perfectly. You remember, even his compliments were evidence collection. Hard to forget after 40 years of her making them, I replied evenly. Leslie smiled that tight smile she always wore in my presence, the smile of someone performing patience. Michael, William and I were talking. We'd love to have you over for Thanksgiving this year. Give you a break from cooking. That's thoughtful. Let me think about it. Of course, no pressure. But her eyes said, we're monitoring whether you can handle hosting holidays alone. I took a sip of water to keep from saying what I was thinking. I know about the foreclosure. I know your parents are broke. I know you've been sending them $3,000 a month from the joint account while telling William it's going into the baby fund. Because yes, I'd hired an investigator. If William could build a case against me, I could build one against them. Fair is fair. The investigator's report sat in my study, 42 pages detailing Leslie's parents' financial collapse, Donald's failed investments, the embezzlement allegations from his former business partner, Patricia's maxed-out credit cards, their house in Portland set for foreclosure on December 1st. Leslie wasn't just moving her parents into my house. She was hiding them, sheltering assets that should have gone to Donald's creditors, using my home as a legal shield. But I said none of this. Just smiled, ate my dinner, played the role of the harmless old widower. Dad, you seem distracted tonight, William observed. Just tired, didn't sleep well. Concern flooded his face, the same face I'd taught to ride a bike, helped with homework, celebrated every birthday. "Are you having trouble sleeping? That can be a sign of—" "I'm fine, William." I cut him off gently. "Just one of those nights." Leslie and William exchanged a look. She pulled out her phone, typed something. Documenting, probably. Subject reports sleep disturbance. Possible cognitive symptom? After they left, I sat in Sarah's chair, the cream-colored wingback she'd loved, the one that still smelled faintly of her lavender lotion if I pressed my face into the cushion. "I'm doing the right thing," I whispered to her memory. "Aren't I?" The house stayed silent. The next morning, I met with Marcus Webb, the developer who'd been circling my property for 8 years. We met at his office downtown, glass and chrome, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the bay. Marcus was 52, divorced twice, worth about $40 million from various developments throughout the city. "Michael Torres," he said, shaking my hand with genuine warmth. "I've been trying to get you to sell to me since 2016. What changed your mind?" "Life circumstances," I said simply. He gestured to the architectural renderings spread across his conference table. My house reimagined. Boutique hotel. 23 luxury suites. Preserve the original facade, gut, and modernize the interior. It'll be the crown jewel of the coastline. I studied the drawings. Sarah's dream home transformed into a business venture. It should have hurt more than it did. "I need this done fast," I told him. 30 days, maybe less. Cash sale. No contingencies. No inspections beyond the basics. Marcus leaned back, studying me. "That's leaving money on the table. I could give you $9.2 million if you let me do proper due diligence. I'll take $8.5 million for a 14-day close." "Why the rush?" "Personal reasons." He was quiet for a long moment. "Family issues?" "Something like that." "Michael, I'm going to ask you one question, and I need you to be honest. Is anyone going to contest this sale? Any family members who might claim you're not of sound mind?" I met his eyes. "They might try, but I have documentation proving otherwise. Medical records, financial statements, and a lawyer who'll bury anyone who suggests I'm incompetent." Marcus smiled slowly. "Then let's make this happen. I'll have contracts drawn up by Wednesday. We can close next Friday if you're serious." I've never been more serious about anything in my life. We shook hands. Walking out of that office building, I felt something I hadn't felt in 2 years. Alive, not happy, not vindicated, but present, like I'd finally stopped being a ghost in my own existence. I drove to the house, my house for 7 more days, and walked through every room. The kitchen where Sarah and I had cooked together, arguing cheerfully about garlic measurements. The living room where we'd hosted Christmas mornings, watching William tear through presents. The master bedroom where she'd died, her hand in mine, whispering, "Don't stay stuck, Michael. Promise me you won't stay stuck." "I'm not stuck anymore, Sarah," I said aloud. "I'm free." On Wednesday, I signed the contracts. On Thursday, I called William and Leslie. "I need you both to come to the house tomorrow morning," I said. 10 a.m. sharp. There's something we need to discuss." "About Thanksgiving?" Leslie asked hopefully. "Among other things." "This sounds serious," William said. "Everything okay?" "Everything's fine, son. Just some family business to address." After I hung up, I looked at the signed contract on my desk. Sale closing date, October 27th, 2024. Tomorrow. They thought they were coming for a conversation about holiday plans and maybe, finally, permission to move Leslie's parents into the West Wing. They had no idea their entire plan was already ashes. They arrived at 9:53 a.m. I watched from the window as William's Tesla pulled up, Leslie in the passenger seat. She was carrying a folder, probably renovation plans for the West Wing, color swatches, furniture catalogs, planning my erasure with Pinterest boards. I'd prepared coffee, set out cups. A cruel hospitality maybe, but I was raised to be polite even during executions. "Morning, Dad," William called out, kissing my cheek as he entered. His smile was genuine. He really thought this was going to be a pleasant conversation. "Traffic was insane. Sorry we're a few minutes late." "No problem. Coffee?" "Please." Leslie settled onto the couch. Sarah's couch, the one we'd picked out together in 1998. She opened her folder with the confidence of someone who'd already won. "So, Michael, we've been thinking about how to make the West Wing work for my parents. I brought some ideas, nothing major, just some updates to make it more accessible. New bathroom fixtures, maybe a small kitchenette so they're not always in your space." "That's very thoughtful," I said, handing them both coffee. William jumped in, eager. "And Dad, honestly, I think having people in the house will be good for you. You've been alone too long. This way there's life here again, you know?" "Life here," I repeated. "Yeah, and Leslie's parents are great. You'll love having them around." "I'm sure I would." Leslie smiled, relief flooding her features. "So you're open to it? Because they really need to move by December 1st and—" "I sold the house," I said quietly. The room went silent. Not shocked silence. The kind of silence where words haven't penetrated yet, where the brain is still processing whether it heard correctly. "What?" William's coffee cup paused halfway to his mouth. "I sold the house. Closed yesterday. The new owner takes possession in 2 weeks." Leslie's folder slid from her lap. Papers scattered across the hardwood. Floor plans with measurements, paint samples, a budget spreadsheet labeled "West Wing Renovation, $47,000. "You? What?" Her voice was thin, disbelieving. "I sold it to Marcus Webb, the developer. He's converting it into a boutique hotel. 23 luxury suites. Should be stunning when he's done." William's cup clattered onto the coffee table. Coffee sloshed over the rim. He didn't notice. "You sold our house?" "My house," I corrected gently. "Technically." "Without even telling me?" His face had gone from white to red. "Without even discussing it?" "Why would I discuss it with you? It's my property." "Because I'm your son." He was on his feet now, pacing. "Because this is my childhood home. Because you can't just sell it." "I can, actually, and I did." Leslie found her voice and it came out sharp with calculation. "This doesn't make sense. Where will you live? You can't just uproot yourself at your age." "I bought a condo. Downtown, 2 bedrooms, bay views, closes next week." "A condo?" William said it like I'd announced I was moving into a cardboard box. "Dad, you hate condos. You said they feel like fancy prisons." "I changed my mind." "People don't just change their mind about their entire life," he was shouting now. "This is insane. This is— Dad, are you okay? Are you thinking clearly? Because this is exactly the kind of impulsive decision that—" "That what?" I interrupted softly. "That incompetent people make?" He froze. "That cognitively declining elderly men make when they're not being properly supervised?" "Dad, I don't know what you—" I walked to my desk and picked up the folder. The printed emails, the spreadsheet, the timeline with my erasure mapped out month by month. I dropped it on the coffee table. "House transition timeline," I read from the top page. "October 2024. Initial conversation with Dad. November 2024. Move-in laws to West Wing. December 2024. Begin documentation of Dad's decline." I looked up at William. January 2025. Consult with Dr. Harrison regarding competency evaluation. Should I keep reading? William's face had gone gray. "Where did you get that?" Leslie demanded. "From the laptop William left in his old room. The one he asked me to store for him." I pulled out another page. "Here's a good one. Email from you, Leslie, to your mother. The old man barely knows what day it is since Sarah died. We'll have him sign a temporary living arrangement agreement, then push for co-ownership within 6 months." "That was taken out of context," she said, but her voice wavered. "Was it?" I pulled out more pages. Here's 14 months of emails, planning sessions, budget spreadsheets, research on conservatorship laws, pricing for assisted living facilities. I looked at William. You were shopping for nursing homes while planning to renovate my house. Did you think I wouldn't find out? We were trying to help you, William said desperately. You've been depressed since Mom died. You don't take care of yourself. I need to not be erased by my own son. I cut him off. I need to not be warehoused in a nursing home so you can give my house to your broke in-laws. Leslie's eyes went wide. What? Oh, didn't William tell you I know about that too? I turned to her. Your parents' foreclosure? Your father's embezzlement charges? The $3,000 a month you've been sending them from the joint account while telling William it's going into the baby fund? William turned to Leslie slowly. What baby fund? William, I can explain. There is no baby fund, I continued. There's just Leslie trying to save her parents from bankruptcy by sacrificing both of us. The room exploded into accusations, denials, desperate explanations. But I was done listening. You need to leave, I said quietly, cutting through the noise. They both stared at me. Now. Dad, William started. Get out of my house. 4 days passed in silence. I moved into my new condo, boxes stacked in unfamiliar rooms, bay views that felt wrong without Sarah's voice saying, "Look at that sunset, Michael." Everything smelled like fresh paint and loneliness. My phone stayed quiet. No calls from William, no texts, nothing. Good, I told myself. This was what I wanted. Clean break, no more manipulation, no more pretending. Then, on Thursday evening, my doorbell rang. Through the peephole, William, alone. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Rumpled shirt, shadows under his eyes, hair uncombed. I opened the door. Can I come in? His voice was hoarse. I stepped aside. We stood in my half-unpacked living room surrounded by boxes labeled kitchen and Sarah's books. The silence stretched between us like broken glass. Leslie moved out, he said finally. She's staying with her sister. I don't know what we are. I said nothing. Waited. I've been reading those emails, over and over, the spreadsheet, the timeline. He looked at me with red-rimmed eyes. Dad, I don't recognize the person who wrote those things. That's not who I want to be. But it is who you are, I said quietly. You don't write 14 months of emails by accident. You don't research nursing homes on a whim. You made choices, William, deliberate ones. I know. He sank onto my new couch. Wrong fabric, wrong color, nothing like home. After Mom died, I was so angry. At the cancer, at God, at you for just surviving, for walking around that house like a ghost, and Leslie was there, being practical, making plans, and it felt easier to believe you needed to be managed than to admit I was terrified. Terrified of what? That you'd die too, that I'd lose you the same way. So I tried to control everything, your future, your housing, your health. If I could just organize it all, maybe I could prevent it. The words hit something soft in my chest, but I kept my voice steady. So you decided to have me declared incompetent, to take my house, to erase my choices. Yes. He looked up at me, tears streaming down his face. And I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't rebuild trust, William. I know. He pulled something from his pocket, a folded piece of paper, worn at the edges. I found this, in one of Mom's journals, from about 6 months before she died. He handed it to me. Sarah's handwriting. I'd recognize it anywhere. The looping letters, the way she dotted her I's with little circles. Talked to William today about his father. He's so worried about Michael being alone after I'm gone. I told him, your father is stronger than you think. He'll grieve, yes. He'll struggle, but he'll survive. Don't underestimate him, sweetheart. Don't try to save him from his own life. Just love him. That's all any of us can do. My hands were shaking. I underestimated you, William whispered, just like Mom warned me not to. I saw grief and assumed weakness. I saw loneliness and assumed incompetence. I was so busy trying to save you that I never asked if you needed saving. I sat down heavily. Why didn't you just talk to me? Why all the scheming? Because talking meant admitting I was scared. Planning meant I was in control. And Leslie, he stopped, jaw clenching. Leslie saw an opportunity. Her parents were desperate. I was vulnerable, and you were the easiest target. You knew she was lying about the baby fund? No. God, no. I confronted her after you told me. She admitted everything. The money to her parents, the foreclosure, her father's legal problems. She'd been lying for over a year. He laughed bitterly. She said she was protecting her family. I said that's exactly what I'd been telling myself about what we were doing to you. What did she say? That it's different, that her parents actually needed help, while you were just being stubborn and sentimental about a house. He looked at me. That's when I realized she doesn't actually see you as a person, just an obstacle. And I'd been letting her reshape how I saw you, too. We sat in silence. Outside, the city lights were coming on, reflecting off the bay in golden streaks. I don't know if I can forgive you, I said finally. Not yet, maybe not ever completely. What you did, what you planned to do, that broke something fundamental. I know. But I want you to understand something, William. I didn't sell the house to punish you. I sold it to save myself. I was drowning in memories, using that place as a tomb instead of a home. You and Leslie gave me the push I needed to finally let go. So, what now? Now you figure out your marriage. You get therapy. Real therapy, not just crisis management. You decide if Leslie is someone you can trust again, and you prove to me, over time, that you understand why what you did was unforgivable. And us? You and me? I looked at my son, really looked at him. I could see the little boy who'd cried when his goldfish died, the teenager who'd written me Father's Day cards in messy handwriting, the man who'd held my hand at Sarah's funeral. He was still in there, under the mistakes and the manipulation, still my son. We start over, I said quietly, slowly, with honesty this time. No more managing each other, no more assumptions, just two adults trying to rebuild something that matters. William nodded, tears streaming freely now. Can I hug you? I opened my arms. He crossed the room and collapsed into them, sobbing like he hadn't since he was a child. I held him, feeling something crack open in my own chest, not breaking, but finally beginning to thaw. I love you, Dad, he choked out. I'm so sorry. I love you. I love you too, I whispered. But love isn't enough, William. We have to do better. I will. I promise I will. We stayed like that for a long time, two damaged people holding on to each other in a strange new space, hoping it was enough to start rebuilding. 6 months later. I'm standing on my condo balcony, watching the sunrise paint the bay in shades of gold and pink. Sarah would have loved this view, would have dragged me out here every morning with coffee and her terrible puns about dawn, dearful days. My phone buzzes. A text from William. Heading over, bringing breakfast, don't eat yet. He comes by every Sunday now. Sometimes we talk. Sometimes we just sit in comfortable silence, reading the newspaper, pretending the past is further away than it is. The doorbell rings at 8:47 a.m. William stands there holding a bakery bag and 2 coffees, but he's not alone. There's a woman beside him. Red hair, warm smile, holding a baby carrier. Dad, this is Rebecca, William says. We're dating, and this, he gestures to the carrier, is Emma, her daughter. I wanted you to meet them. I stare at the baby, maybe 8 months old with huge brown eyes and a toothless grin. Dating, I repeat carefully. Leslie and I divorced 3 months ago. It was It was the right call. For both of us. She's back in Portland, helping her parents. We're civil. That's all we can be. Rebecca extends her hand. Mr. Torres, Williams told me a lot about you. And about what happened. I appreciate you giving him a second chance to be better. I shake her hand, then look at William. You're dating someone with a baby. I am. Emma's father isn't in the picture. And before you ask, yes, I'm sure. Yes, I'm ready. And yes, I've been in therapy for 6 months learning how to be honest instead of controlling. I look at this woman, this child, this son of mine who's trying so hard to rebuild himself into someone trustworthy. Come in, I say. Let's have breakfast. We sit on my balcony, William, Rebecca, baby Emma, and me. We eat bagels and drink coffee while Emma gurgles and grabs at everything in reach. How's the painting going? William asks, gesturing to the easel in the corner of my living room. Terribly, I admit, but Margaret says that's part of the process. Margaret? Woman I met in grief group. We've been seeing each other. Casually. She lost her husband 4 years ago. We're both figuring out how to be alive again. William grins, the first genuine smile I've seen from him in months. Dad's got a girlfriend. Dad's got a friend who happens to be female, I correct, but I'm smiling too. Rebecca bounces Emma on her knee. William says you sold your family home. That must have been incredibly difficult. It was, I say honestly, but it was also necessary. I was haunting that house instead of living in it. Sometimes you have to let go of the past to make room for the future. William meets my eyes. Are we the future, Dad? You and me? Can we be? I look at my son, flawed, broken, trying. I look at this woman and child he's building something with. I look at my condo with its terrible paintings and new furniture and the life I'm slowly, painfully constructing from ruins. Yeah, I say quietly. We can be. Emma chooses that moment to spit up on William's shoulder. Rebecca laughs. William groans. And I realize this is what family looks like after it's been shattered and rebuilt. Messy, imperfect, real. Not what I planned, but maybe, just maybe, enough. You made it to the end. You're part of Michael's story now. This was never about revenge. It was about a man who lost his wife, nearly lost his son, and had to destroy his old life to build something real. It was about the courage to demand dignity, to choose honesty over comfort, to forgive, not because people deserve it, but because you deserve peace. So here's my final question. What would you have done? Would you have forgiven William? Sold the house? Given Leslie another chance? Cut them off completely? Tell me in the comments. And if this story moved you, if you saw yourself in Michael's pain, or William's mistakes, or even Leslie's desperation, then do me one favor. Subscribe if you haven't. Stories like this are what this channel is about. Like this video if it made you feel something. Share with someone who needs to hear that it's never too late to start over. Comment, I choose dignity, if Michael's story inspired you. Thank you for being here, for witnessing Michael's journey, for caring about complicated people making difficult choices. More stories coming soon. Stories about love, loss, betrayal, and the messy work of being human. Hit that subscribe button. Turn on notifications. The next story drops next day. And trust me, you won't want to miss it.